Hello everyone. For this practice, we are going to work on breaking through discouragement. A part of the human experience is managing the discouragement. Discouragement comes through heartbreak, grief, rejection, any kind of upset, or we didn't get what we wanted when we wanted it, or we don't feel good enough, or we've gone through hardship and we just want to hide away from the world. Discouragement is a big thing that we are going to continuously face throughout our life, regardless of where we're at in our chronology. It is a big life lesson for all of us, and we're all in different kind of positions within discouragement. Some of us manage our discouragement. Some of us allow the discouragement to rule our lives. So discouragement can come up in ways of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have what it takes, I'm not wanted, all these kinds of belittlement, right? When we're really in discouragement, it's like we're belittling ourselves. And we're creating all these reasons why we can't do something, or why we can't have something, or why we can't be something. When all of it is just lies. A part of the Buddha mind is that we can basically, through the law of attraction and through manifestation, we can shift and alter our projection, our core self-concept, in a way where we can basically become anything. We can, of course, go down into being the person that is full of judgment, right? And in that kind of trap. Or we can be, right, we can sort of cleanse, purify, and upgrade the projection so that we can be a person who is masterful over reality, right? So discouragement is a biggie that we all must kind of navigate through. And it comes at us in many ways, such as I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't be this, right? And I think if we live in that place of discouragement, we start to find ourselves in regret, right? Because we didn't follow our heart, we didn't take action when we knew deep inside we needed to. It's just we didn't have the spiritual practice to be able to take that step. So that's why it's very important to have a spiritual practice, because you don't know when the universe is going to give you these kind of opportunities that come out of the mystery, right, of the unknown, that is designed to give you growth. And when we have the spiritual practice, we can begin to, okay, the discouragement is there and we can work through it almost immediately. So it doesn't become this long, dragged out thing that's just this huge, unnecessary obstacle or blockage, we'll say, right? So when we work on facing discouragement with courage, which is kind of like the polarity, right? When we're in discouragement, what happens? We lose courage. And when we're in courage, we are completely empowered and we're not in the discouragement, right? So it's like we can't really be both, right? We're one or the other. It's kind of fine line, right? So the courage is when we're really facing that discouragement, whatever low self-worth, I'm not good enough, they don't want me, or I can't be this or do that, right? And we face that with a sense of courage. And that will be different for everyone, right? Some people, it's like you push through, right? Just like you do it. Some people, it's like you face fear with being fearless, right? Which gives you that adrenaline rush, right? Whenever you're facing fear with fearless, it gives you that adrenaline rush, which makes you feel really, really in your power. It makes you feel very free, right? And when we're in courage, we're liberating, right? Discouragement is not liberation. It's actually confinement, right? It's holding ourselves back. It's holding ourselves down. And then over time, if we start to kind of hang out in that place, get a little too comfy cozy, we start to have the regrets, the guilt, the why shouldn't I could have, why didn't I, these type of things. And we want to minimize that. That's why we do the spiritual practice, because we want to minimize the guilt, the regret, that why didn't I should have listened to my intuition, I waited too long, or I delayed, or whatever that is. Because because we're going in the Aquarian age, things is going to get a lot more progressive in the way of like growth and development, and we don't really have time, as we did maybe in our past Piscean age, to just kind of hang out in years or decades of this kind of like this discouragement vibe, such as low self-worth, or I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't be this, right? Because there's so much like shifts that want to come through us, that want to upgrade us, that want to kind of get us in a place where we can really, really be masterful over the law of attraction, that we really don't have time to kind of like just hang out a decade in this, maybe I should leave this relationship, or it constantly, you got to do something, but you're not doing it, because we need the courage. And courage is actual, it's a physical experience, right? When we're in courage, how we really develop courage is, it's like a warrior training. It's like an actual movement of your body, right? So when we think of discouragement, usually we have a picture of like somebody just like they're not moving, they look very still, they look like their body's very tight, they look like just they don't have energy, right? They look fatigued, they look worn, they look exhausted by their own kind of battling inside of themselves, right? But when you see people encourage, usually you see someone who's really active, usually very athletic, or very, has an energy to them, right? That has like a real strong nervous system, right? So we can actually create a physical kind of movement in the body to promote courage, like which is like a psychological courage, such as when the discouragement comes up and creeps in, we can kind of face it like that bow and arrow and kind of hit it head on with, no, I am going to find a way to get myself out of that. And that's really what we want to get in the habit of as quickly as possible, finding a way out of that. It's okay to go in the discouragement, the pity parties, but to be in that for the whole day, we want to minimize that from like 5 hours to 2 hours to maybe 30 minutes, right? But we need to be alert. We need to be able to have a manage over ourselves. If we don't have a sense of like, if we don't have a manage over ourselves, if we don't have like a self-control, I mean, this kind of discouragement can go on for years, decades, right? So that's why we do the spiritual practice, so we can have a manage, a self-control over the discouragement, right? Because some people, they when they're in discouragement, it's like they can't, it's like it's out of control, like they don't even know what to do with it. Like when you're in anger, sometimes when you get into it, it's like people are out of control. They do things, they say things, and it's like they have no, like, they're like, oh, well, that wasn't me. Like, it was you. You just didn't know how to control it and manage it, right? So, managing is a part of self-healing. It's about a self-correction. It's about a rehabilitation. Because we are human, we can get into these type of wild emotions. But the gift of being able to have an awareness is so that you can shift anything. Right? And you can be the leader over all the emotions, over all the kind of things that are coming at you, instead of being like in the undertow. You're riding the wave, right? Instead of being caught underneath and you're just like at the mercy of it, you can kind of ride it. But it takes a practice, right? To ride the wave, it takes a real athletic, mental and emotional, right, courage to do that, or just getting caught in the undertow and just kind of feeling at the mercy, right? So, discouragement, when we really get like into the powerlessness, we start to feel like it's just, we have no say. We have no control. We're just at the mercy of it. This is just my life. This is my karma. I'm just going to hang out in here and just kind of just allow it to do whatever it wants to do to me. And that's the thing, this life, there's so much like propaganda and agenda. There's so much like things are being put at us, like algorithms on like TikTok or Instagram. There's all these consumerism and commercialism, let's say, that if you don't have a sense of leadership, you'll be in a whirlwind of like being sucked into all these different things. And by the time you've kind of got out of it, you're just going to be so confused. So this is the time that it's very important that we know how to kind of manage the discouragement, right? So that we can really utilize this lifetime, whatever years we have, breaths we agree to have in this life, to our absolute advantage, to get as much done as possible in this life. And that's a real warrior training. We want to get a lot done in this life, right? And the Buddha mind and the Buddhism and that kind of mindfulness and awareness that we perfect and practice, right, has a lot to do with, we want to be able to get a lot done in this lifetime in the way of meditative space, but also getting into a more household practice, not monkhood, but household practice, is we want to really kind of create actual tangible practical shifts. That's the kind of new, I won't say new age, but modern like Buddhism through my kind of channel, is like household practice. We want to use that meditative mind to be able to actually make tangible physical shifts in economy, institution, corporation, food industry, when it comes to even all kinds of systems that we have. I mean, there's a long list of systems that we want to use that meditative mind to really bring a physical, tangible alteration, reform, or shift to that physical, household type of domain. So we're gonna, dive in and really see in this practice. We're gonna really dive in and see if there's discouragement in us, and how can we really kind of create a physiological movement or awakening, alertness, like athleticism, to be able to kind of invert that into courage, right? It's like we're constantly shifting from discouragement and courage, right? Have you noticed that? Right? It's like you're shifting through discouragement one point of the day, and then you're switching into courage, because they're like two sides to one coin, right? And to be able to manage that and have a leadership over that, so you're not just at the mercy of it, like, or you're just you when it happens, you're just like going, just like you have no control, right? I think the bridge, right, between the one side of courage and the other side discouragement, is an ability to know how to move your energy, right? Know how to move your energy. So, for example, when I get in discouragement, what helps me, right, because I've learned to kind of manage and get in touch and aware, right, is what helps me to get outside. When I get cabin fever, too much like inside activity, or if I don't have enough sunlight, right, like vitamin D, you can say, going outside actually helps me. Being in the sun, even if it's really hot, it really, really helps me to get out of that discouragement, right? And for other people, it's finding that energy, that energy shift, that energy movement. It can be so subtle. It can be like, taking a walk. It can be, taking a bath. It can be just listening to music, right? Where you're learning how your energy system works, and how you can start to add in tools, add in frequencies, add in movements that can give you the best utilization of the energy throughout the day. Because we don't have like 500 years of energy in this single body, right? I mean, we have a lot of energy, right? But this physical body, where we are as a human being, as this particular species, we don't have 500 years of energy just within this whole glandular system, right? I'm sure we could, extend it, but where we stand right now, right, we have a certain amount of energy, and we want to optimize that kind of energy so that we can have an experience of our victory. At the end of the day, we just want to experience of our victory, and every day it's different. Some days you're really going through grief, and victory to you is just being compassionate to yourself and saying it's okay to cry. and that's your victory, right? Or when you're angry and you feel like you want to explode, and you're in the car with your kid in the back, right? And you're just so angry because you got some bad news about something. And victory for you is pulling over, right? Pulling over, going into a park, right? Right off the exit of the highway, right? And going into the park and saying, you know what? I'm just gonna take my kid, we're gonna go to this park for like 10 minutes, right? I don't know where this park is, but I'm just gonna do that. And that's your victory for the day. Right? Or instead of, your job is like, you don't really like your job, or you really want to change your job, right? Because you really want to progress, or you want, something different, or you want to move in a new location, or whatever it is, and you usually have this thing where you like are very like upset, you're like, why don't I have the new job that I want? So the victory for the day that gives you like a higher energy reserve is saying to yourself, you know what? A new job is coming in. I just gotta be patient, right? And in the way that you do it, in such a way of like, even if it's sarcastic, but it's in a way of like sincerity, where you really believe it. That's the victory of the day. So we're gonna see, what even discouragement, like you say, let's say you like someone, right? And you're like, man, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, but I really would like to like, hang out with them, right? And the victory of the day for you could be, you know what, I am, let's say you hit the gym and you do whatever weights that you like to do, right? And you keep saying to yourself, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. And you just doing whatever, pumping your muscle. And that could be the victory of the day, because it brings you intense joy. It brings you intense freedom. When you're doing something, doing something that gives you freedom, right? Discouragement is very trapping. It traps you into these thoughts, into these emotions, where you start to think that that's it, that's you. That's not you. You can shift the projection. It's just an experience, a concept that you're streaming through you, right? But you can, that's the thing of the leadership. The Buddha mind is the leadership. We can be able to alter the projection, to conceive new thought forms, and to even rewrite our karma through our ability to go really passionate, courageous towards really breaking through and reshaping our entire core identity, which isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because when you go through that and you really experience the results of actually going in and kind of reconfiguring your whole kind of system, you're really, upgrading your core self-concept and the thought forms, it's worth it, because, you get an experience of the law of attraction, you get an experience of manifestation, you get experience of the power of your own thought and the power of your being, which is you can use the affirmation, a positive ego, to bring about immense breakthrough, to clear the way, to purify the way, and to put into your path a sort of karma that is going to give you a great experience of your creativity and of your spiritual your spiritual excellence. And any person can do that. It's just some of us it's more challenging because of our karmas, and some of us it's a lot more less resistance because of the karmas. So if we feel resistance, right, to spiritual excellence, or kind of rewriting or upgrading or shifting or whatever it is, it just means that a part of our karmas is that area, past lives, future lives, parallel lives, is that, that's a part of our kind of maybe accumulation, right? When things have gotten really accumulated, usually it's a really strong habit. It almost becomes like a real identity in us. So if we want to kind of chisel that out and kind of reshape the clay, well, the clay is hardened, right? So it's very, you can't really reshape when it's gotten really hardened, right? It's like you have to basically break the thing. right? So what we have to do is we warm it up, right? Like clay, like I mean, you can't really, like, but it basically will crack, right? If you're like a potteress, um, um, but it's like when something's gotten so hard, right? When we usually hard is like it's worn over time. It's gotten really like accumulated, very thick, very heavy, loaded in us. I think we have to soften it, and the way that we soften it is start to really warm it up, right? That warmth is like the willingness, the passion to move forward, to take new movements, because movement gives us energy, movement gives us warmth. So a part of like when we're in the karma and we're like, we don't like this, why is it like this, that we get very cold. Like we get very frozen in it. We get very like even trapped in it. We get very like we feel like we have no energy. Like we're just bound to it. Like this is just how it is. We start to get very cold, and our mind, our heart gets very cold. We sort of feel very like that kind of coldness where you just don't feel like you want to do anything about it. So the warmth is like bringing up the energy, that movement, and that's the way. If we continue in that momentum of energy gets so high that we can basically transfigurate or transmutate the thing. Just it just happens because we created such a momentum of movement in us. So when that thing comes up, that whatever karma thing, we have such an energy reserve that we can blaze through it. Literally blaze through it and purify, digest, clear, and keep it moving, right?